Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of our That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime recap on AniMonolith. Picking up from where we left off, Chloe's explanation left Hinata utterly shocked. It turned out that Chloe possessed a time-traveling ability, though she had no control over it and could only activate it unconsciously. She revealed that she had first gained this ability during her visit to the dwelling of the elementals with Rimuru. However, what entered her that day was not a spirit at all, it was her own power from the future. In other words, Chloe from the future had died, and for some reason, her power had returned to the past, merging with her younger self. Afterward, everything seemed normal, until the moment Hinata died. That was when Chloe's latent ability activated, transporting both herself and Hinata's soul back in time. With that activation, Chloe regained memories from the previous timeline. She said that in the previous timeline, Hinata died in the Great Jura Forest, not in Luminous like now. In addition, Chloe revealed that she had repeated the travel process countless times, and that Hinata died in every timeline. Chloe could only clearly remember the memories of the most recent timeline. That is, if she was currently in the 0 timeline, she could only clearly remember the memories from the -1 timeline, and occasionally remember a few memories from the -2, -3, -4, or -n timelines. Hearing this, Hinata thought it was hell. How strong must Chloe's reason be to be able to withstand such an endless cycle of death and rebirth? Hinata silently listened to Chloe continue. Accordingly, every time Chloe traveled, she would always return to ancient times. This seemed to be the limit of this ability's time jump. In addition, it is only a one-way ticket, only going and not returning. The location Chloe lands on when traveling will correspond to the place where she lost control of her power. Previously, Chloe lost control in Luminous, then she and Hinata immediately returned to Luminous about 2,000 years ago. Even worse, Rimuru had also died in every loop, though the cause of his death remained a mystery. Shaken by this revelation, Hinata exclaimed, "How can anyone manage to kill that cockroach, Rimuru?" Chloe explained that this timeline was already different from the previous ones. For the first time, Rimuru was still alive when she traveled back. This gave them hope that the endless cycle could finally be broken. Chloe then recounted the events of the previous timeline. After visiting the dwelling of the spirits, Rimuru had returned to Tempest without encountering Hinata. He had successfully defeated the Otherworlders Shogo, Kyoya, and Kirara, preventing the massacre in Tempest. Because of this, Shion and the others had survived, which meant Rimuru had no reason to evolve into a demon lord. Without his evolution, Tempest remained much weaker, and the kingdom of Pharmus continued to hinder its international expansion. Even so, Rimuru worked tirelessly to develop Tempest, forming closer ties with Yuki Kagurazaka and other nations. He even established a school where Chloe and the other children studied. But peace did not last. The Western Holy Church, at the request of the Council, ordered Hinata to lead the Crusaders in an invasion of Tempest. A fierce battle ensued between Rimuru and Hinata, ending in a draw. However, thanks to Chloe and the other children, Hinata ultimately chose to trust Rimuru instead. After further investigation, she discovered that the kingdom of Pharmus had been manipulating events from behind the scenes, which further solidified her alliance with Rimuru. 5 years passed, and Rimuru remained the ruler of the Great Jura Forest. He had never awakened as a demon lord, yet he continued fostering peace, even strengthening relations with Luminous and Luminous. Chloe, meanwhile, had grown much stronger and even befriended Milim. But then, the Eastern Empire launched an invasion. Rimuru decided to go to war, but because of her great affection for Rimuru, Chloe stopped him. However, Rimuru reassured Chloe not to worry. However, Chloe knew he was afraid. Before leaving, he gave her his mask, the very same mask that had once belonged to Shizu. Hearing this, Hinata understood that the mask was also an endless loop that Shizu gave to Rimuru. Rimuru then gave it to Chloe, and Chloe went back to the past and gave it to Shizu. After going to war, Rimuru disappeared without a trace. He was presumed dead and the Tempest Federation collapsed. Then something even worse happened. Veldora was resurrected. Enraged, the Storm Dragon unleashed destruction upon the world, decimating the Imperial army and turning his fury toward everything in sight. In response, Luminous, Hinata, Chloe, and their allies united to stop him. But before the battle could end, Hinata was assassinated. A flash of light pierced through her chest, killing her instantly. The identity of the assassin remained a mystery. At that moment, Chloe's time travel ability activated once again, bringing her and Hinata's soul back to the past, and the cycle repeated. Chloe admitted that, no matter how many times she tried to alter small details, the result was always the same. Every time Rimuru died, every time Hinata died, That's why up until the present timeline, the fact that Rimuru was still breathing evenly after the time travel was activated made Hinata and Chloe expect a good outcome for this loop. Hinata secretly thought that it could be a sign of the end of Chloe's endless loop. When Hinata asked why this timeline had diverged from the previous ones, Chloe gave a surprisingly simple answer. I acted cute and clung to Rimuru-san in Ingracia. That tiny act had made Rimuru return to Tempest earlier, just enough to shift history. Instead of teleporting back immediately, he had traveled on Ranga's back, which led to an unexpected encounter with Hinata. This resulted in Shion and the others sacrificing themselves, which in turn caused Rimuru to awaken as a demon lord. His newfound power ensured his survival against threats that had previously killed him. Hinata was stunned. She now understood how fragile fate truly was. Even the smallest choice could alter the course of history. She and Chloe now had one mission: ensure that this new future remained intact. To do that, they needed allies, and there was only one person they knew in this era, Luminous. Using her memories, Chloe led Hinata straight to the Queen of Nightmares castle. Standing before the grand fortress, Hinata couldn't help but be impressed. No wonder Luminous was so proud of this place, she murmured. However, their arrival did not go unnoticed. A horde of vampires quickly surrounded them. Without hesitation, Chloe boldly declared, I've come to see Luminous. Take me to her. Hinata immediately had to give a warning when she realized that this girl was having mixed memories. Because at the moment, Chloe's relationship with Luminous had not yet begun. Oh, right. I've done this so many times that I thought Veldora and Luminous had finished fighting, and I always get scolded by Hinata for this. Furious at Chloe's erratic reactions, Hinata asked her to listen to her advice from now on before responding to anything. Chloe nodded sheepishly, acknowledging that even the smallest mistake could change history in unforeseen ways. That realization sent a chill down Hinata's spine. Their future hung by a thread. One wrong move and Chloe's endless loop could continue forever. After their arrival at the castle, Chloe and Hinata were granted an audience with Luminous. Naturally, the Vampire Queen was skeptical of their claims, especially the warning that the fearsome Veldora would soon attack. However, as she observed Chloe's heartbeat and body language, she realized the girl was not lying. Furthermore, Chloe displayed no fear of the castle guards, which hinted at her true strength. While this convinced Luminous that Chloe might genuinely be trying to help, she was not one to trust easily. Instead, she allowed Chloe to remain within the castle walls, but kept a watchful eye on her. Based on Hinata's calculations, they had approximately 2 weeks before Veldora's arrival. Chloe relayed this to Luminous, and preparations were made accordingly. As predicted, 2 weeks later, Veldora appeared, triggering a fierce battle between him and Luminous. Chloe had the urge to intervene, but Hinata stopped her. Since Chloe had not fought Veldora at this point in previous timelines, it was crucial that she followed the same course of action as before to avoid disrupting the flow of events. As the battle raged on, the castle suffered immense destruction. However, thanks to Chloe's warning, casualties were minimal. Witnessing Chloe's accurate prediction, Luminous grew to trust her, and the two became close allies. Over time, Chloe and Luminous shared many things, though Chloe was careful not to reveal anything that might drastically alter the future, such as Granbell's planned betrayal. She instead spoke of her future as a hero, the eventual arrival of a being named Rimuru, Veldora's liberation, and her own long-standing friendship with Luminous. She also mentioned a woman named Hinata, who would later become one of Luminous's trusted allies only to die at the hands of an unknown enemy. Hearing this, Luminous swore to support Chloe in her journey and publicly declared her as a friend. With Luminous's trust secured, Chloe was ready for the next step in her journey, officially becoming a hero. To maintain secrecy, Hinata suggested Chloe adopt a new name while traveling. Since your name is Chloe and you have a time-related ability, we can combine it with the name of the god of time, Kronos. Let's call you Kronoa. With that, the legend of the hero Kronoa was born. After some time, Luminous left her kingdom in Lubilius, with Chloe accompanying her. Around this time, Hinata noticed something strange. Her usurper skill had vanished. She theorized that Chloe's current body, resembling that of a magical being, might have absorbed the skill when she named her. However, Chloe believed the skill had not been stolen, but rather had merged with her naturally, a notion that reassured Hinata. Eventually, Chloe parted ways with Luminous and set off on her journey under her new identity as the hero Kronoa. Over the next 1,700 years, she honed her skills, and when the time came, she mastered two powerful abilities: Absolute Severance, and Infinite Prison. The Absolute Severance allows the user to perform terrible attacks by manipulating space. It is as powerful as an ultimate skill and is capable of causing damage to true dragons. Meanwhile, Infinite Prison allows the target to be sealed in a complex space of infinite size. Its power is also equivalent to an ultimate skill and is effective against true dragons. These abilities, combined with Hinata's mathematician skill, gave Chloe the confidence that she could successfully seal Veldora. Before departing for her fated battle with the Storm Dragon, Chloe visited Luminous one last time. The Nightmare Queen, now deeply attached to Chloe, was worried about her safety, but also eager to witness how Veldora would react upon being sealed. During their conversation, Chloe revealed another shocking truth. Hinata's soul resided within her body. Though Luminous accepted this fact quickly, she was left speechless when she learned that Hinata, not Chloe, would be the one to fight Veldora. The reason was to avenge the bitter defeat in the labyrinth before. Having seen all of Veldora's abilities firsthand, she was confident she could counter him this time. Chloe, however, was hesitant. "I don't know what kind of history you have with Veldora, but please don't go too far. He's actually a really nice person now," she warned. Regardless, she allowed Hinata to take control of their shared body for the battle. As expected, the fight was brutal, but with Chloe's assistance, Hinata successfully sealed Veldora within the Infinite Prison. As Veldora roared in frustration, Hinata smirked in satisfaction before relinquishing control of the body back to Chloe. With that, Chloe's journey continued. However, she knew that the past and present were beginning to converge. Soon, Leon and her younger self would be summoned into this world. When that happened, she would lose consciousness. Hearing that, Hinata was extremely surprised but quickly understood the problem. This world only has one timeline, so there cannot be two versions of one person existing at the same time. As a result, when Chloe and Leon arrived, the timeline would force a correction. Chloe's past self would be transported 300 years forward, while her current self would lose awareness. Despite the unsettling implications, Hinata realized that the world wasn't trying to erase paradoxes. It was merely preventing them from causing complete collapse. Some anomalies, such as the mysterious mask, had managed to defy logic and persist through time. The mask's origin was unknown, and no one could explain how it circumvented the laws of time. Reflecting on this, Hinata reluctantly accepted her fate, knowing she too would eventually be affected by this phenomenon. Hinata then questioned what would happen if both she and Chloe lost consciousness at the same time. Chloe vaguely recalled a time when she had lost control, resulting in their body going berserk. She suspected that a separate entity had taken over, a third personality. Hinata suddenly remembered the moment she named Chloe Chronoa and lost her usurper skill. That was when she realized that Chronoa was not just an alias, it was a distinct, separate being. By naming Chloe, she had unknowingly solidified this unknown entity's existence. Recognizing the danger, Hinata and Chloe agreed on a contingency plan. After saving Shizu and passing on the mask, Hinata would seek Luminous's help in sealing their body within a holy ark. Luminous, after hearing their request, agreed to safeguard the body and, in the distant future, unseal it when the time was right. As time passed, Chloe's consciousness faded. For the first time, Hinata was alone. She soon felt the overwhelming pressure of Chronoa's will, an uncontrollable force trying to seize control. Suppressing it was exhausting, and she began to feel the strain. Even so, she endured, determined not to let the entity take over. Following the timeline as she remembered it, Hinata made her way to Leon's castle, where she rescued Shizu and passed on the mask. She even traveled alongside Shizu for a while, cherishing their brief time together. However, the time came for them to part ways. Though Hinata wanted to stay, she knew she was struggling more and more to suppress Chronoa. If she lost control, everything they had worked for would be in vain. Accepting her fate, Hinata sought Luminous's aid once more. Understanding the gravity of the situation, Luminous used her power to seal Hinata within a holy ark, keeping her safe until the future arrived. Hinata gradually fell asleep without ever knowing what Chronoa was. As she drifted into an eternal slumber, Hinata's last thoughts were of hope. If fate was kind, she would awaken to a bright future. But if she failed, Chronoa would rise instead, and it could mean the end of the world. Even so, she placed her faith in Rimuru. With that final thought, Hinata closed her eyes, trusting that he would find a way to save them all. And that today's recap ends. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next episode of AniMonolith.